Welcome back, all you Hershey's Garage fans, plus Guns viewers. Today, I'm going to be going over how to clean this little bad boy here, which you see is a M&P 15/22. And this girl is a little dirty. I put about 300 plus rounds through her, and she needs to be cleaned. So I'm going to show you how to go ahead and field strip her and then clean her according to the M&P 15/22 instruction manual. So if you stick with me, you'll go ahead and find out, and you'll be able to clean this guy. Alright guys, before we get started, there's just a couple of things that you're going to need to complete this task. So let me show you this right now. The first thing is you're going to need a kit. And it doesn't need to be a fancy one like this, but it does have to be specific to the gun that you're cleaning, like 22 long rifle or 9mm, something like that. And this one comes with a little brush here, which is very handy, and it is a must because it does clean the carbon off of your product there very well. You can use your brother's or sister's toothbrush if you want, and that'll be go over real good when they're brushing their teeth and they see a bunch of black crap come off in their mouth. So I recommend that. No, just kidding. But yeah, you need one of these kits. Then you need a rubber mallet, and in this kit, which is nice, it comes with a little plastic punch here, and this is just like taking out the takedown pins in this gun that I have here. It's the AR platform, and it has takedown pins that open up the lower receiver from the top receiver. And this thing is great at taking those pins out because for some reason the pins are very tight. So rubber mallet is almost a must. Then you're going to need your glasses just in case there's a piece of carbon that comes and hits you in the eye or whatever. I don't want anybody losing their eye over anything. So glasses. Then of course gloves. Gloves are always good. Keeps that nasty stuff from getting on your hands. But speaking of nasty stuff, this is awesome stuff, and it is all natural ingredients. It is eco-friendly, skin safe, no carcinogens. Actually, I don't know if it's all natural stuff because you still don't want to probably eat it or anything. But like I said, it is eco-friendly and skin safe. So you really don't even need gloves. I just like to use them anyway. But this is called Ballistol. You don't absolutely have to use this, but if you're going to use this, it is a multi-purpose, so it lubricates and protects. So you don't need a separate solvent and gun oil. I don't have the solvent here, but this is gun oil, but you don't need two things. All you need is one. So this is pretty cool. I recommend you get it, but you're going to need something like that. Then you're going to need a t-shirt or some type of rag, and then these little pads. And I actually use this rag, which is a cut up t-shirt, more than I do the rags because I like this better. So I recommend you doing this, and that way you don't have to use as many as these. Then I use pipe cleaners, and these sounds kind of weird, but the pipe cleaners are to get into spots that these rags can't get into. Pipe cleaners are great, so I recommend you picking up and these are regular large pipe cleaners that you get at I don't know, the craft store or anything. So yeah, get yourself some, and you can get in those little tight spots and they're awesome. They work great. So anyway, those are the ingredients you need to clean this guy, which is right there. So let's get to it. All right, so here she is. Now, according to the Smith & Wesson manual, what you have to do to field strip this guy is to take these takedown pins right here. There's 2 of them. You pop these out, and then that separates the lower receiver from the upper receiver. So let's go ahead and do that now. And like I said before, I'm probably going to need that mallet, because sometimes these are really hard to get out. I heard a pop on that one, so that might have come out. This one, it was a little easier than that one. But this is where I take my rubber mallet and I go ahead and very gently, this is plastic, so this isn't going to hurt anything, but I just tap on these and pop them out. And what that does is, you see that? Pops these guys out like that. So you can just pull them out, and they don't come all the way out. Boy, that one's rough. But they're designed to stay there so you don't lose them. And then you can go ahead and remove the lower receiver from the upper receiver. So we'll stick down that lower receiver. And then here's the upper receiver, and then to finish the field strip, you grab your charging harness, which push in that little button there, and then pull, and then there your bolt carrier group comes out with your charging handle, and you just pull it straight out. And there you go, that's it. I mean, this is tough as nails to do. Just kidding, I mean, that's it. So you got your charging handle and your bolt carrier group, and there we go. This is all that Smith & Wesson recommends that you take down to. That's it. Now you can, I've seen people, which sometimes I do when this thing your bolt carrier group gets horribly dirty, you can remove this spring here and then take this off, and you can see this slides like this. And so you can take this part and separate it from this part and clean this if you really want to, and clean that, but they don't recommend that in the instruction manual. Smith & Wesson says do not take it apart just like this, just keep it like this, your bolt carrier group. So that's the way we're going to do it for this clean. Now, if you want to remove the recoil spring from the recoil rod here, all you have to do is put your fingers like this and put your finger on the butt end here and kind of hold that so it pushes this little the recoil rod forward, which allows you to lift it out of your little perch there, but make sure that your fingers are in front of that spring so it doesn't pop off and get all crazy. See, if I would have let that go, this thing would have shot out like a crazy man. But that's it. You take that off of there, you can set that down, and then this will slide off, and then you can take that out of there too. Like I said, you don't have to do this. It's not hurting anything, but they don't Smith & Wesson doesn't recommend that you do this. So like I said, for our purposes of this video, I'm going to go ahead and put this back together and just clean it like normal. So we're going to put this back together, and the way we do that is you're going to grab your rod here, stick it in your bolt, push it through, and then put your spring on, and make sure that this little spring has a little white area, and this goes towards this little notch here in the slide part. So you want to don't drop your spring, but stick your spring on the little rod here, recoil rod, and then make sure that, let me take this off here, you can see, make sure that on your recoil rod, see how they have grooves right there? That fits in the groove of this right here. So put that frame down. It fits down here like this. So if you have it this way, it's not going to fit. So make sure that you put your recoil rod just like that, so it fits down there when you have your spring on there. So like I said, put your spring on, make sure it's aligned right, then put it in your slide here, or put your slide in these little grooves. Yeah, see the little grooves right there? These go down in those grooves. And if you weren't as shaky as I was, you could do it a lot faster. But that's it. Then put your finger right here. So you kind of hold that while you're putting the spring down. And then, like I said, make sure you got your recoil rod the right way. Turn the right way. There we go. And then, bam! There you go. It's on. It's not that much of a pain in the butt, but my hands are shaky, so it makes it a little harder. And then make sure that it's on there. And that's it. So I'm going to show you how to clean this here. So let me get the toothbrush, and then we're going to clean this off. And as you can tell, it's not too bad, but it is still dirty and it's got a lot of gunk on there. So stand by 1 second. All right, I got my toothbrush and I got my ballistol. And what I'm going to do here is go ahead and spray the ballistol on these parts first. Give it a good shake. And it comes out like a foam. And I'm just going to spray it on the different parts and set them aside and let them set. Let's set that up here. And that way it's going to get the carbon all off. And it's going to allow it time to, just like a solvent, to do its job. So I just liberally spray it all over the place, especially on my bolt carrier group, getting all in the little holes and grooves and stuff. Make sure I get all those. And then let me wipe my hands off. And then I'm going to take my lower receiver, and you really don't have to do much in here because this doesn't really get that dirty, but I like to spray a little bit in there anyway. So I just spray just a tiny bit. This is your bolt catch. I like to spray a little bit in there, and then just a tiny little bit in where your trigger is, the components in there. And that's about it. You don't have to worry about your buffer tube because there is not one. So we'll set that aside over here. And then in your upper receiver, you want to spray inside of here, inside of all here, because this is where your bolt's going to slide around. And then of course your barrel. So you just will spray a little bit around in there, around in there, and then down here, right into the barrel itself. And you know that you're doing it right because it will come out the end of the barrel. And I just wait for a second and it starts dripping, and then we'll do on the end of the muzzle too. Make sure we're all good to go on that. And that's it. You don't need to do, this is polymer, so you don't need to get all crazy with that. But that's it. So the next step is wiping all this junk out after giving it a good time to set. And I usually do, like I said, about 10 to 15 minutes, just to make sure that it gets nice and good there on and was able to break up that solvent. So let's come back, and then I'll use the brush to brush the surfaces off, getting everything all good to go, and then we'll wipe off. So I'll come back here in just a second. Okay, I let that set for a bit. So now I'm going to start with the bolt carrier group. So let's go ahead and just kind of go over the surfaces with my brush here and lightly brush that carbon off of there. Because like I said, this wasn't too dirty, so I don't have to really do anything too crazy, but especially at the top here, that's the extractor right there. So I want to make sure that I get a nice good clean in there. So just scrubbing everything down, giving it a nice scrub. Then I go on the recoil rod spring and scrub that down. And along the slide spots there. And then I'll push that down, the bolt down, and get along the slides where I couldn't get before because this bolt was in the way, and then slide that back. Let's make sure that we get all that spot there. There we go. All right, and that's it. So I'll stick that down, and then I'm gonna clean my brush off, and then take my rag and start wiping all that junk off. And we'll see how we did. Let's see here. All right. Like I said, this thing wasn't really that dirty, so. Okay, I spared you from having to watch every boring second of me going all over the wiping this down process. But there she goes. Beautiful. Looks good. And then now all I do is take a little bit of the ballistol again, because it is a lubricant, and I just spray a little on the bolt itself and apply it on there, so there's a little bit of oil all around here, because these things like to these guns like to run a little bit wet, not horribly lubricated, but just a little bit wet. So you want to put that on the spring there, and the extractor here, and on the underneath here, and then definitely along the slide, and make sure that that slide is, nothing's impeding it. So you want to make sure that's all on there. And there you go. Your bolt carrier group is done. So set that aside. Then I'm going to clean the charging handle. Same process. Taking my toothbrush and cleaning any type of foreign material off of there. Making sure that the metal part here, where you activate the charging handle, that gets nice and ground off there, so there's nothing on there. And then wiping that guy off. And like I said, the reason why I use the t-shirts is because you don't get all that leftover film and stuff from the little pads that I was getting from those guys. So I'd much rather use the t-shirts. But you just make sure that you get all these little spots off here. Make sure that that's, I like to run that in there, get that all off. This wasn't actually that dirty either, but like I said, it's dirty for me because I like to keep my guns very well oiled and cleaned. And like I said, you can use a pipe cleaner. I'm grabbing this off camera here, and I used the pipe cleaner, and I didn't show you that I used it on the bolt carrier group here, and I got kind of in the back here, and I was putting it down here and cleaning out different little spots down in this little area here. So like I said, these are kind of useful sometimes for just spots that you can't get in with anything else. It just makes it a little easier. Some of these spots are a little bit hard to get in with something else. See how nicely that fits. And then of course, like I said, we'll put a little bit of oil on here, especially in this little groove here. Just a tiny bit, doesn't have to be a lot. But again, this is going to be sliding around. So I just took a little bit and take my finger and kind of apply it on there. And making sure that this has got oil on there too. And you don't, like I said, you don't want a lot of excess, so I'm just going to wipe it off just a little bit, especially on this, the actual handle itself. I don't want oil on there, but there we go. That's it for that. Now, I'm going to take our lower and do the same thing. Clean the mag well just a little bit. Nothing big. Just making sure everything's out of there. And go by the bolt catch release. Make sure there's nothing on there. And then on the inside, where you have your guts, I use a smaller brush for the inside here, where your trigger's at. That wasn't that dirty, but still nice to clean a little bit in there. And then all I'm going to do is take my rag and wipe all in there. I'm going to save you the thing of watching me do this, but just wiping all in there, making sure that you get everything out of there, and you can use your pipe cleaners down in these little spots, and that's where it really is handy, getting clean all in there. But I'm going to go ahead and do this and then show you what it looks like afterwards. All right, now we're nice and clean in there, as you can see. Let me pull it up in there. All nice and good to go. All I did was wipe around in there. Now I do recommend, if you really want to get in there just a little bit better, you're going to have to pull the trigger. And of course, that means that you're going to have to take it off of safety, and then you want to hold your assembly in here so it doesn't strike on these pieces right here, because you're not supposed to dry fire your 22 because Smith & Wesson says it will damage things. So you want to hold your finger on there, gently press the trigger, and then have this gently come forward. And there you go. Now you can clean in the inside here a lot better, which I have already done. And then to reset it, you just pull this back and it clicks and it holds. And then I like to put it back on safety. And there you go. That's it for your bottom receiver here. And then what I like to do is just put a little bit of my oil on my finger here and then put it on the takedown pins so that makes it easier for them to slide in and out. And then I put just a little bit on your bolt catch and release here. See on the inside here, right in here. I like to stick a little bit in there just to make sure that this thing's gonna operate like it should. So I just poured a little bit in there, just a tiny, tiny bit. And then you can operate that and make sure that's good to go. But that's it. So we'll put this guy aside. Then you take your upper receiver, and this is where it gets fun, because you're going to grab your kit here. And you can, like I said, use a bore snake. Earlier in a video I said that. I like to use this because it came with the kit. And all it is, let me stick this down. I got to kind of be careful because I have my red dot sight on there. But it's this. And it comes with the attachments like your brush here that you stick on the end. Wrong end. It ain't going in there. It's got to be the threaded end right there. And you thread it on there. And then you grab this little guy. And once you go down your barrel, which you always want to make sure you start at your bore side and come out the muzzle side, because that's the way the bullet, that's the way the direction of the bullet travels. So it protects your chamber there. So you just put this down and insert that through and run that down. Comes out on the other end there. My hands are slippery, of course. And then you grab this, and that's because your hands are going to be slippery. So you grab that, and that's what this is for. You put that in there, slide that through, and that way you have a handle so you can take that and then see your brush there, and it goes through your chamber after you pull it. And bingo! All you have to do that is once, and that takes care of all the carbon buildup through your bore there, if you can see. And then you want to wipe this off a little bit on your rag, get all the carbon off of there. And then what you do, or what I like to do, is start taking your toothbrush and going over everything, like your muzzle inside here, taking this and getting all in there, and then going through here and getting all of that off, all this off, right by your bore chamber there, scrubbing that all off, just like that. And like I said, I'm not going to bore you with me doing this, but that's exactly what I'm going to do, is get all in those areas like that. And then after that, that's when you take this off Let me set that down. Take this off. And I put this little attachment here, which is for these, or you can cut your cloth there into strips like this, which actually I like to do, and then you put these through here, which there's a little hole, run that like this, and then of course this gets screwed on there. Like that. And then we'll run this through the same way through the start of the barrel and towards the muzzle, and that will go through and clean all that carbon off of there that you had just got off with, where's my brush here, with the brush. So you'll do this until this is usually black, until so you each time you go through you'll have blackness on there probably, and I'll show you that here in a second, and then you do that until it's all white and clean. So I'm gonna give me a second, I'm gonna brush that all off, wipe it all off, and then I'll show you me running through the barrel and doing it that way. All right, got her all cleaned up, and like I said, I just took the brush and then my rag here and wiped all around, and all in these spots all around here, and then gently wipe the polymer off. But you don't have to worry about this because it's not metal. And then of course wipe that. But then, like I said, the barrel, you go from the breech, which of course is this end here, to your muzzle again, just like you did before. And what I did was cut up little squares of my t-shirt and put it through there. So then you just pop it in once again, push it down till it goes out your muzzle, pull it, and then it's going to go like that. Let me grab my little holder here. So I'm going to set this down, and then it goes on the edge here, just like that. So I got a little holder, and then I'm going to pull, and it's going to go through the barrel and out the other side like it did. And then show you, see, kind of hard to tell, but see how dirty that is? So I'm going to do that a whole bunch of times until this rag, not this specific one, but the ones that I keep cutting, this becomes clean. And that's when you know that you've done a good job. And then when that's done, I'll go ahead and spray a little lubricant on my hands again, or directly on the pieces here, and make sure that I get enough lubricant on here so that when the bolt goes in here and the charging handle, it slides nice and even through here. And then I'll put a little bit, just a hair down here, and then the last little piece of my shirt here that goes through the barrel, I'll put a little bit down in there, and then run one of these down here when it's all clean, so it gets just a hair bit of the oil down the barrel, and that keeps it lubricated and great. But you want it dry down here, so that'll be the last step. Like I said, I'll just spray just a tiny bit and then make sure that's all wiped out, but it's all clean. And that'll be it for your upper receiver, and then we can start putting things back together. So like I said, you don't need to see me do this, but like I said, I'll just spray a little bit in there after I run through and make sure that my barrel's all clean. All right, so again, I made sure that I ran that through and it was all clean. So what I did was I took a little bit of that ballistol, sprayed a little bit on my finger, and just started wiping where the bolt goes, and then all throughout the little chamber here. Made sure everything was all nice and oiled up. Not too much, but just a little bit. And then your end of here, your muzzle inside there, that was all good to go. Then you just wipe everything down. Make sure that there's no excess oil on there, on the outside. And that's it for your upper receiver. You are golden. So the next step is putting everything back together. So let's push this all out of the way here. And of course, my work area looks like got ballast all over the place here. So we'll set that down. So the way we're going to do it is you grab your bolt carrier group and your charging handle. Get a nice little spot here. It's got a little groove right here that goes over the top of this. So you want to put that, run on top just like that, and then take your upper receiver and slide that in, like this. I can do it. Trust me, it's very easy, but I got the camera right in front of me, so it makes it a little tougher the way my angle's at. But just like that, and then you slide her in just like that, and bam, she's in, and make sure that that pops in there. But that's it. There you go. Now you're ready to install the lower receiver with the upper. So you grab your front of the receiver there, put that through, and then you can put your takedown pin and push that in so it's flush. See how it's flush there? Where are we at? Right there. Make sure it's flush, and then you just push that in a little bit and make sure that, and see, this is tight. I told you mine is definitely tight. Okay, there we go. Make sure that's all aligned, and then you push your takedown screw in, make sure it's flush again. So that's flush. There you go. And then you want to check, make sure that you got proper operation. So you're going to grab your charging handle, slide it, make sure your bolt slides back all the way, and then you can do your catch. And then push your charging handle forward, and there you go. She's all oiled up. So you pull it back again and make sure everything is operational. I like to do that at least 2 or 3 times to make sure that everything is good to go. All right, camera, focus on me. See if the camera, there we go. Make sure everything's good to go. And it's sliding very easy. And then the final, I like to put the bolt catch on, release the charging handle, and just like if you had a magazine in, press that bolt catch or bolt release, bam, and there you go. Everything looks like it's working like it's supposed to. Obviously I can't pull the trigger, but I'm going to go ahead and wipe this all off, and then let me set this down. Then I'm going to go for the last step and wipe off my magazine. And really, this isn't that dirty, just the outside maybe, and then where you put your actual rounds in. That might get a little bit dirty on the top here. So what I'll do is take a little bit of ballistol, like this, spray a little bit on the top here, and of course on the spring itself, and then work it around and make sure it goes all in there, and then wipe everything off, and that should be good to go. You can take this off by pressing down in that, sliding this out, and making sure that the spring doesn't pop out. And you can take the spring out and then take this part off and this little helper out of there, and you can take the whole thing out of there and clean it if you think that you have sand or some type of debris in there. But most of the time, if this hasn't been exposed to much, it basically in your pocket or in a holder, all you need to do is just, like I said, wipe that off. You can take the brush and wipe that off, and then make sure it's all nice and oiled, the spring and everything, and you're good to go. So that is it for cleaning your 22. She's nice and clean, good to go. And like I said, just make sure that you had your proper operation going, so when you get out to the range, it's ready to rock and roll. But that's it, filled, strip, and clean. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, please. And I guess I will see you on the next one. Peace.